Hello, and welcome to Travel Stories Unpacked, where we talk about all things travel, from the silly to the serious and everywhere in between. I am your host, Ashley Newton, and thank you so much for spending some of your time with us. We really appreciate it. We are actually doing a part 2 episode, so we are continuing our conversation with our guest, Sara Rawlings, about her trip to Japan. So if you haven't watched part 1, it's really good. We'll link to it in the description. And in that episode, we really focus more on just like laying the foundation and understanding sort of the ins and outs of navigating your trip to Japan. So, like learning the language, transportation, accommodations. And we realized that we didn't scratch the surface on some of like my favorite questions to ask, like what did you eat, where did you go? So that's what we're going to cover in this part today. So Sara, thank you for sticking around and making this a two-parter and sharing all of your wonderful stories about Japan.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to be here and tell you all about my trip. It seriously was like amazing, next level.
Okay, so I have one question that I forgot to ask when we were doing part 1. So I do just want to knock that out of the way before we get into all the super fun stuff. But the more that I've been in the travel industry, the more that I've sort of viewed things in a different lens and
hmm
really like started taking in my surroundings differently. And one of the things that always sticks out to me is accessibility as far as like ADA compliant stuff.
hmm
Because of course, ADA, that only has to apply within the US. So things that I sort of take for granted that I just know are here that again, I don't utilize most of the time. Those aren't my specific needs, but I do just tend to notice them, right? So I was wondering when you were in Japan, what did you notice as far as accessibility?
Well, anywhere you went, like down a street, you would see these yellow raised lines on the sidewalk and on the streets. And that's to designate for people who are blind, like, oh, this is where you need to walk. This is where opening
Okay.
to a road is. So that's like foremost everywhere you went. You had this in the subway, on any kind of steps. You would have something for the visually impaired to know where they were and how to navigate. And in addition to those, um, if you were at a stoplight and getting ready to cross a street, there was audible changes so you know like if the traffic was moving or if it was safe to cross.
Okay, gotcha.
So you have your visual cues for the people who are able to see and the stuff you can hear for those who are not able to. So first and foremost, you had that. Now, you know me and we've been friends for ages and you know how like I have bad knees and it's really hard for me to get around sometimes. Japan has like an aging population
Hmm.
to say the least. So they have built infrastructure to help those who have mobility issues too. Like, yes, you'll have shrines that are ancient that you have to walk up 1,000 stairs or more typically. But the stairs there, they're small. So, like, it's a little bit more easier to go up if you need to go up.
Gotcha.
But, like, they have escalators, they have elevators.
Oh, okay.
Um, it's not everywhere, but again, with the higher population density areas, those are available.
Well, and I know you said that you were working with a travel agent for
hmm
this trip. Did you discuss some of, your concerns with, using your knees so much throughout the day or anything like that? Or would you advise that if somebody was going to Japan and they did have mobility issues, that they should use a travel agent to help find the most accessible accommodations?
100% use a travel agent
Yeah.
because some of the places were definitely a lot more accessible than others. Um, I know in the last episode I talked about staying at the hot spring.
Hmm.
To get up to the hotel, we end up walking up this very old pathway, lots of stairs. We didn't like drive up to the front door. So if I had major mobility issues, I would have had to pre plan my trip to get to the right entrance versus going the back way with how Google was taking me.
So, did you guys have all your luggage with you when you were doing that too?
Some people, yes, some people, no. So we did a lot of training, like exercise training, to get physically fit enough to carry our luggage if we needed
Gotcha. Yeah.
to do the stairs if we needed to.
Which, like we talked about in one of our way earlier episodes, just like staying healthy while you're traveling. I think
Hmm.
it's a great idea. Even if you think you're already a pretty like fit person, just thinking about the amount of steps you're probably going to take within a day and
Right.
thinking about all those things, like it's always a good idea to sort of wake up your body. Like,
Yeah.
hey, this is what's coming.
Yeah. And like, I'm thinking about people who have food allergies.
Hmm.
The labeling packages have different things on there too. Like if you have allergens or someone who could have allergies is clearly labeled. This has this allergen in it.
You don't have to like flip it over, spend all day. Because I was just
Right.
at the store with my friend who's allergic to cinnamon, which I feel is like a really random allergy, especially. And like
Hmm.
we just had to flip over and read through every single ingredient list. And like at the very bottom, it would be like contains egg, milk, soy, like some of the major like
Hmm.
allergens, but not all of them. So that's really nice.
Yeah. And definitely like the more traditional things that are handmade, like if you're going to get street food, you wouldn't have that. But for going to the convenience store and looking at a package is very easily,
Yeah.
you can see what's in
All right. So we're already going there. Let's talk about the
it.
food. We got to get into it. So obviously, Sarah, I know you're a foodie. I know that food is something that you really like to experience when you're going to new places. So, when you were planning this trip to Japan, did you have some like staple items that you wanted to try?
Yes. Ramen, taiyaki, okonomiyaki, just all the food. All the food.
I know ramen.
Yes.
I got that one. So, what was your favorite dining experience or food experience, I should say, the whole time you were there?
I think dining experience was walking down Downtonbury. Uh, It's a
Don't look at
it's a
don't even look over
famous
here. I
it's
got
a
nothing.
famous foodie street in Osaka.
Okay.
In Osaka, if you're a foodie, that is the place to go in Japan. It's the food capital of Japan, and I will argue with anybody about that. But yeah, famous street and just walking down the street and just eating stuff off sticks, eating things that I've never heard of. Um, Seeing like melonpan like made fresh right in front of my eyes. I'm like,
I don't know
ah,
what that is either. What is that?
it's a sweetened like bread roll thing that has like a cookie top.
Huh.
It's amazing.
Huh. I love bread. So I mean I would try at least one, probably two to be safe. But
Like I had one for breakfast almost like every day.
ah, what did you guys do for breakfast? Like did you eat all your meals out? Did you have any
um,
cuz I feel like
we didn't eat all of our meals out, no.
okay, so did you do any cooking or was there any like included meals with any of your accommodations? I feel like that's not as popular.
Most of the stays that we had did not include food unless you had to pay extra for it.
Gotcha.
Um, because they were special meals. Like when we went to the hot spring, we had a breakfast and dinner that we purchased because we wanted that special experience. And so, yeah, we did technically cook when we had those because we had hot pot.
That's cool.
So that was amazing. I love hot pot. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a communal pot of broth where you literally cook together. So you put your meat in, you put your veggies in, and just like cook it and then eat the stuff, drink the broth, and just be happy.
Ah, love it. So you ate most of your meals though while you were out and about. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. We said that it's not necessarily going to be as expensive. Did you find that that was true? Like you weren't spending as much on food as you would if you were like at another destination?
Um, we spent significantly less in Japan than any of the trips that we've went on anywhere in the world.
Awesome. I mean, I'm always here for that.
Yeah, unfortunately for Japan, and fortunately for everybody else, the yen currently is pretty weak. So that meant the prices we were seeing was equivalent to early 2000s pricing. So I could go to 7-Eleven and get a pastry, a coffee, maybe a piece of chicken, and Brian could get the same thing. Brian's my husband. He could get the same thing, and that would cost us $6.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't get anything for $6 here, like at all. You can't go to McDonald's and spend $6.
Right.
Like, which of course now I do have to ask.
I did not go to McDonald's, but I went to KFC.
Okay. So what was the KFC like? Did you just go and like check it out, or did you actually get food?
I actually got food because I was hungry.
What did you get? What did it taste like compared to like in the US?
So we just got like chicken thighs because we were just sitting around waiting to go to the aquarium, and we were at this food court, and it was like, okay, KFC. I want to try it, see how it's different from the US KFCs. I'd say it's actually better than the US,
Really?
but they had beer.
Well, that's
So-
a win. That's a win. What kind of beers do you see when you're in Japan?
Japanese beer.
Do you remember any names? We got a Sarah Snort successful podcast.
Like you see Asahi, Sapporo, Kirin. Those are like the 3 main brands.
Well, and I know you know your booze. So if you had to equate sort of the most popular Japanese beer to a well-known American style of beer, what would you say?
Well, they're mostly like pilsners and lagers.
Okay. I think I like lagers more than pilsners.
Same, but they're different. Like seriously,
Yeah.
I love Japanese beer. It's like my favorite beer in the entire world.
Is there anywhere around here that you could get that? Do you know?
From my friend's family's restaurant.
Hey, there you go. But not exactly finding it in the alcohol aisle at Costco, though.
You might be able to find like Sapporo. Asahi is a little bit harder to find in the US. Kirin, I haven't really found that many, but if you go to your local Asian market that sells alcohol, they might have those brands.
Okay. All right. I'm definitely always trying to check that out. So any other like food surprises or stories, or maybe something that you tried that you just like had not planned on trying at all, or anything like that?
I didn't really have food surprises, but I had some food mishaps.
Ooh, all right. Let's get into it. What food mishaps did you have while you were in Japan?
Like I said, I ate a lot of food on sticks. I made the mistake of trying to eat dango. Do you know what that is?
Just assume I don't.
Okay, so dango is a sticky rice cake confectionery thing.
Sounds good.
It is good, but trying to eat that, and they're like normally in ball shape.
Okay.
So just imagine 3 or 4 small balls on a stick, covered in some sticky sauce that is a little bit savory, and having to like try to get that off the stick.
Just messy.
It's messy, sticky, and does not make for good Instagram photos.
No.
So, yeah, everybody in my group wanted to try it because I think it was last year Google put on some games where like you could go to like different cafes and stuff and try like dango and stuff like that in game. And they're like,
wait, so like a virtual?
Yeah, a
you
virtual
is
thing.
trying a virtual food?
yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, this was a Google special thing.
Gotcha.
And so they're like, oh yeah, I want to try this. We saw this in the game. So all my group got around and are like, okay, we have our sticks. We're ready to go. And so we're like, well, this is a lot of food because there was 8 of us and we got 4 sticks. So we're like, okay, 1, 2, 3, go in. Well, we went in and like I pulled mine off with my cheese grated and stuff like that and tried to chew because they're very chewy.
Okay.
And some of the reactions, like I was like, ah. And my other friends were like, I was not expecting that texture
If you
flavor.
if you weren't watching on YouTube, I'm just gonna try to describe Sarah's face for you. To me, it's like you are eating Pop Rocks, but you also stubbed your toe. That's how.
Yeah. It's a very special, unique flavor texture if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
Um so the consensus was some people like the sauce but not the dango itself. Some people like the dango but not the sauce. And if you're like me, you're like, this was fun, but I'm not gonna eat another one.
Yeah. So like in general, I find that like it's very rude to like spit out your food or like,
Yeah.
like make a face while you're eating it or something. But sometimes like you can't help making a face
Right.
or I like, you're like, if I swallow this, I'm just gonna throw up. So like, is that like was that something you were worried about? Like how you came off as
Yes.
you were trying all these
Oh
new
my
flavors and
gosh.
things?
So I prepared my body and soul for Japanese food for years because I was so concerned about being rude and honestly just throwing up because I'm very textural based.
Yeah, yeah.
If I have a certain texture that doesn't like feel good in my mouth, it will trigger my vomit.
Yeah, no, I'm not what probably not the same, but that's definitely more how I am too. Like I can
Yeah.
handle a lot of flavors, but if it's smushy and just like
Right,
gross,
right.
like
If it's
slimy,
gross,
yeah. Yeah.
and it's like nothing to be rude, but like it just happens. I can't control it.
Yeah.
So I would ask my husband, I'm like, is this something that I should eat?
Ooh, so did you have him like try stuff first?
Yes.
Okay. What is like is sharing food a weird thing to do in Japan?
No.
That's very normal. Okay, because
Yeah.
I love doing that. I love getting like a plate for the table and like we'll all try it, especially if like we haven't had
Mhm.
it before. Like I don't want everybody to get 4 things of barbecued eel only to find out none of us like barbecued eel,
Right.
I do though. I'd eat it. But
Okay. I'd give you my barbecue eel because that's one of those triggers for me.
no, yeah. I guess the
It-
textures we were talking about, yeah. Okay. So what about dining times and like any other weird things about the culture? Cause like in the US in the most part, like I feel like there are times when it's like dinner rush, lunch rush, breakfast
Mhm.
rush. But otherwise, especially in major cities, like stuff is just kind of open. So that's one of the first things I think about when I'm traveling to a new country is like when can I eat? When should I eat? When's the cutoff? So was that a thing that you noticed, or was it sort of just everybody doing their own thing at various
It
times?
was a little regional. So in the countryside on a few of our stays, everything closed at 5. So for me, I'm used to eating at like 7, 8,
Yeah,
9 o'clock
I'm a
at
late I'm
night.
a late eater.
So that was a little rough, and that's one of the reasons why we had dinner at the hot spring. Whereas if we were in a larger city, um, most of the times things were started to open up at 5. So you could go in, have a early dinner, or you could stay later and say like as late as like 11, 12, 1, 2.
Okay. So again, sort of what you'd expect around, like, I would guess any major city. The major
Yeah,
cities are going to have more of a bustling nightlife into the night. The more you get out into rural areas or suburbs, it's just like, you never know. Like, but
correct.
mostly stuff closes down earlier. Okay, that's about on par with
Yeah.
so nothing too much to stress about there if you're worrying about fitting in all your delicious meals when you're in Japan.
Well,
Did you
if you're
Oh, sorry,
going
go
to
ahead.
a shrine or something like that, they have all these like food stalls that you can come through like as you're going into the shrine or afterwards. They're very cute, like very touristy. Um, but like they tend to open up around 9 in the morning and close right at 5. So if you want to have that experience, make sure that you check in and do that accordingly.
Okay, and I have a ton of questions about more of like the places that you visited, but I have one more food question.
Okay.
Maybe two, we'll see. For the snacks or whatever, or maybe just to window shop, did you go into any like little grocery stores or cafes or stuff like that?
Yeah, totally.
All right, so I have to know, this is again just something I've seen on the internet, but did you see any products labeled as like American? Like American chips, American pizza, American pop, or something like that?
I wish I did. I did not. But like restaurants were labeled as like American.
Was it just what we'd expect, like burgers, pizza, like?
Sort of. And I say sort of because like they attempt to do American stuff,
Yeah.
but it's not American. It's not for the American palate, it's for the Japanese palate, which is totally different.
That's so interesting. So, like, is there one item that you did try over there that was like, didn't you say you had a burger or
Yeah.
something?
I had a burger. I was so sad.
Tell me about your burger experience in Japan.
Oh, okay. For one, the ketchup is totally different.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe less sweet.
Yeah, it's actually more sweet.
Really? Everybody's
disgusting.
always like, America's so sugary. So I
No,
really thought
no,
they
no,
would have gone
no.
the other way.
It was so weird. So yeah. Oh, I'm just thinking about it and just wanting to trigger.
Aside from the ketchup, was there anything else about it that just you were like, this is totally not an American hamburger or cheeseburger? Which one did you get?
It was a hamburger.
Okay.
And it had like I think the main difference is they don't just use ground beef; they put stuff in it,
Like other meats or like celery?
like
I don't know why I picked
vegetables or
celery,
something. Like the
but
texture's like I don't know, fluffier.
interesting. Yeah, we're definitely not putting vegetables in our burgers over here.
Yeah, no.
Not that I'm opposed to it, but I think too it depends. Are you trying it to try and taste what a Japanese burger tastes like, or are you missing and craving what you expect American burger
I
to
was
taste
like,
like?
I just wanted a good burger,
Yeah.
so I'm like, oh, maybe. Yeah, no,
No.
just sadness.
Something else that you had mentioned was that there was Lawson's over there.
Yes.
So this blows my mind. I'm going to give a brief history lesson of Lawson's from my Circle K days. Circle K is a gas station, and Circle K around here anyway is the only place that you can buy Lawson's chip dip. Like they bought out the parent company. I think they were like started in Ohio or whatever.
Yes,
So,
they
like,
actually started in Cuyahoga Falls, which is in Northeast Ohio.
yeah, but you can get it, and I literally just looked this up. You can get it at Circle K's in like Ohio, Michigan, West Virginia, some in Kentucky, and like, you know, so like that sort of area. But people around here will like swear by it if it's their chip dip. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
it's like a real thing. So if you are a Lawson's chip dip fan, let us know. I am too. But you saw it in Japan?
Lawson's was one of the three main convenies that you could just go to and get food and other convenient items.
But is it the same Lawson's or is it just also called Lawson's?
It's the same Lawson's.
This is just like blowing my mind.
It's amazing.
Really?
Like, so when over here in the United States, when we think of convenience store, we're thinking like, okay, you go in, you grab a soda, maybe a pack of chips, and you know, if you need to have like a magazine or something for the road, you go in and get that.
Yeah.
Over there, it's a whole different experience. It's pretty amazing, to be honest. Like, I can't tell you how many times I went to a convenience store throughout a day just to get food, get something to drink. I had dinner there at one of the convenience stores. I had most of my breakfasts from convenience stores.
It's very different than it sounds like. I'm guessing
Yeah.
number one maybe is the quality. Like
Yes.
if we and like I'd think okay, grocery store is higher quality than convenience store here,
Correct.
but that does not translate in
No.
Japan. Very
No.
interesting.
Yeah, since everybody's pretty much on the go, they need to have a place to go and get a cup of coffee that's good.
Yeah.
Or food that's good.
Well, architecturally speaking, I feel like it makes sense too for the area as opposed to having like these huge supermarkets.
Correct.
It's more like craft market, convenience store, you know, like just breaking it up.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah. One day I had a chicken katsu dinner and it had all the fixins and they heated it up for me, had silverware, all the condiments all laid out. It was amazing.
Oh my goodness. Like that, you're just not going to get that.
Nope.
You're not going to get that here. If there was one item that you could like take off the shelves in Japan and put it on like all the supermarkets in America, what would it be? And don't say Lawson's.
I just can't take the whole store. What? I think maybe it would be the either melonpan or curry pan.
I don't know what those are.
Okay, so melonpan is a sweetened bread that has like a cookie top on
Oh,
it.
that's what that was called. Okay.
Yeah, and curry pan just means bread in Japanese, is a sweetened deep fried bread that's stuffed with curry, and
Mm.
it's amazing.
I want that one over the cookie bread. Like for sure. That sounds
I
so good.
I had that so much.
Well, and you're a
Um,
bit of a chef. Are you gonna make it?
I don't do breads. That's Ryan's thing.
All right.
My
Well,
husband.
put in a request from Ryan for the office. We'd love to have some.
But yeah, just all the pastries were amazing. All the chicken, like the chicken at the convenience stores. And there's three main brands there. There's Lawson's, Family Mart, and 7-Eleven. They all three had amazing chicken. I'm a Family Mart person because Family Chicken, it's amazing.
Yeah, I'm getting actively hungry. So we're going to move away from the food topic. And then I just wanted to ask again, like, we don't really have time to cover all of the like places that you went, but what was maybe one or two of your favorite, I don't want to say attractions, maybe like a historically significant site or a tourist trap, like just something that you experienced or went and saw that is like top of the memory list.
I think one of the most special things that we did was go to Ise Jingu, which is, I think, the main shrine for Shinto for Japan. And it's said to house the spirits of Japan at this location. When we went, we got up before the sun came up.
Oh, wow.
So, like 5 a.m., it was raining, a little drizzly, and there was some fog that was coming in. And we walked through this village. It was about like a quarter of a mile walk from where we were staying to the inner shrine. So we walked through, and the first thing we saw was this giant torii gate, and just the reverence of being in a location and feeling the spirits around was magical. Like when they say you can feel the spirits there, it's like otherworldly.
Yeah, I'm actually like getting goosebumps just from your
It's
description because it feels like it was very powerful for you to be in that place.
yeah. And like I'm not like practicing Shinto or anything, but like that was my first real experience going to a shrine. And it
Mhm.
was going to the shrine, which was amazing. There was a few other people there because like everybody else was trying to like beat the rush.
Mhm.
When we were going through, there's a security guard, and they had to like take a double take because we didn't go in like the front gate. We went through the back way, and they're like, how do you know about this entrance?
How did you know about the entrance?
We knew about that particular entrance because Ryan went there when he was 16.
Oh, wow. God, what is the memory on this guy? Like, I don't remember my whole year being 16. I couldn't tell you
Like,
anything that happened.
well, it was a back parking lot at the time. It was just a place you could go and park and go in, and now there's like a office building there. But yeah, he went there when he was 16, and it left such an impression that he's like, I have to go back. My soul is calling me back to this location. I want
Oh,
you to
yeah.
see this. And in that particular shrine area, nothing there is old. Everything there is rebuilt, I think, every 7 years or 10 years, something like that. So it looks old, but it's not old.
Is that intentional? Is that
Yes.
something to do with the spirituality of
Yes.
it? Okay, that's really
So
interesting.
it's the whole idea of like everything's in constant change. There's perfectness and unperfectness. Um, so yeah, seeing all the structures that are rebuilt by hand, not using like
Oh,
modern
wow.
machinery or
Yeah.
anything like that, and just feeling the energy was so amazing. And the grounds, pristine,
Mhm.
manicured trees, the lawns were complete of moss. The sheer beauty of it is hard to describe.
It sounds like if you could only suggest one thing for somebody to do in Japan, that this would definitely like be a top contender for you.
Uh, Definitely. And this is one of the locations that not a lot of people know about, and not even a lot of Japanese people go to because it's such a high revered location. And we kind of find out like, so we did the morning time first thing for the inner shrine. We end up going back and having breakfast and then going back and doing the outer shrine. And when we came back later, we started seeing all these guards around and people started lining up outside, and we're like, what the heck's going on? Well, come to find out that Crown Prince or something like that was getting ready to like come and pay a visit.
Ooh.
And we're like, hey, what's up? We got the TV station there. Like, so we were completely clueless of what was going on.
Yeah.
So we talked with our like host family saying, hey, have you heard of anything that was going on? Or like, you guys are so freaking lucky. For one, you went there, you had the fog, and they said that the fog is the dragon spirit
Oh, that's
visiting.
so cool. Yeah.
So I have a thing for dragons. So maybe that's why it was so magical for me. Like, again, the energy was amazing. And the fact that royalty was going to be there the same day that we were there visiting, again, just amazing.
Yeah, very cool. Sounds like once in a lifetime, sort of all the
For
stars
sure.
aligning for your
It
like,
was so cool.
yeah. Well, I'm so happy that your trip, after all these years of just looking forward to it and all of the planning, that it sounds like it was just a truly wonderful time for you, for Ryan, for all of you. You said you had 8 adults, 1 kid.
Yeah.
It's a big group, but it sounds like you guys really made it work and had like an amazing time.
Yeah. And I mean, we didn't do just all the sightseeing stuff that, traditional people do. We did nerdy stuff too. Like, I got to go inside a Ava. So if you guys watch anime,
I do not.
Evangelion. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay. I'm showing my nerd colors right now.
I just don't think I'm cool enough for it. Like, I
Um,
watched Sailor Moon.
And I was lucky enough to see a giant life-size Gundam before it went away. So
I don't know what that is either.
it's a giant robot. So yeah, I got to do some fun nerdy stuff too. It was amazing.
Hey, we always have to like celebrate our inner nerd, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And maybe we'll have you on again after I can watch some anime and know what you're talking about. So I know that you said you went to like specific locations that were prominent in some of like these series and stuff.
Yes.
So who knows? Maybe we'll have a part 3. Hopefully you guys just want to hear more about Japan, because I know I do. This was so fascinating. I had so many questions, and like I said, I am starving. Like, I am hungry. So we are going to have to wrap this up and go find something to eat.
Totally. 100%.
All right. Well, of course, as always, if you were listening to this episode and you have stories that you want to share with us, we'd really love to hear them. So please put them in the comments or anywhere on social media using the hashtag #TravelStoriesUnpacked. And don't forget to come back on Fridays, where we're going to be dropping new episodes with new guests and more travel topics and opinions. This podcast is brought to you by KHM Travel Group, a leading host agency for independent travel agents. Go to khmtravel.com to learn more.